decorations. Crest Stone might not have been much of a town at all, but this hotel was as fine as any establishment she would have been too afraid to step into in Denver. She didn't dare remove her coat, or else everyone would be able to tell she didn't belong in such a place. A friendly-looking girl with shining blonde hair, a perfectly starched gray dress, and an apron that would have been white if it wasn't for an unsightly coffee stain, stopped in front of her. "Good afternoon, miss. Are you in search of the dining room? Or perhaps the lunch counter? It isn't as nice, but the soup is hot and filling." Elizabeth forced herself to smile through the wave of fear that rolled through her yet again. I'm to meet someone. My brother." It was only the tiniest of lies, considering he had no idea she was here. "Oh? What is his name? I might be able to point you in his direction if he's staying here." "Monroe Hartley. I've been told he built this hotel." The girl tilted her head, clearly confused. "I don't believe he's still in residence here." Elizabeth nearly dropped her carpet bag. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Of all the outcomes she'd contemplated, this wasn't one of them. "Maybe he's planning to return and hasn't arrived yet?" the girl said. "No," Elizabeth said, her fingers gripping the handle of her bag. I must be mistaken. I'm sorry to have troubled you. She glanced about the room. Where would she go? Even if Monroe turned her away, she'd assumed he would have given her the fare to at least return to Denver. "I'm so sorry to have disappointed you. Do you need a room for the night? I can take you to the front desk." "No, I can't." Elizabeth's voice rose and cracked on the last word. She wouldn't cry. She hadn't cried in years, and she didn't intend to start now. "It's only, I don't know." "You must sit." The girl took her hand and led her to a large wing chair that flanked the nearby fireplace. "I'm Adelaide. I work here as a waitress. Do you need something to drink? Would that help?" Elizabeth shook her head as she set her bag down. Nothing would help. Not now. Why had she been so foolish when she was younger? Everything could have turned out so much better for her if she'd just listened to her brother and to Colette. But she hadn't. And now here she was, widowed, penniless, and entirely alone. "I have nowhere to go," she finally said, her words strangled. Adelaide knelt beside her and patted her hand. "I know just the thing. Stay right here." And with that, she was up and weaving through the chairs and people toward the hallway beyond the stairs. Elizabeth barely had time to contemplate what Adelaide was doing when the girl returned, a kindly-looking woman trailing behind her. "This is Mrs. McFarland," Adelaide said to Elizabeth. "She helps run the hotel. Mrs. McFarland, this is— Oh, goodness, I didn't ask your name. My mother would positively die. Please forgive me." Elizabeth almost laughed despite her predicament. She stood and forced her voice to remain steady. "Mrs. Campbell, Elizabeth." "It's a pleasure to meet you, dear." Mrs. McFarland clasped Elizabeth's hand between her own, and her smile warmed Elizabeth to her bones. She had the strangest feeling this woman wouldn't care about any of the mistakes Elizabeth had made in the past. "Now, Adelaide here tells me you were in some distress." Elizabeth chewed on her lip for a moment while she thought about what to say. Adelaide spoke first. "She came to meet her brother, Mr. "It's quite all right," Elizabeth said quickly, cutting off her maiden name from Adelaide's tongue. There was no need to embarrass herself, or her brother, any further. He wasn't here, and Elizabeth preferred to keep his potential disappointment in her to herself. She gathered herself, standing a little taller and placing her hands against her stomach for strength. There was nothing to be ashamed of in what had happened to her recently, after all.